The year was 1985.
That's Barbara Bergeron on the phone. She was part of the original team who had a mission to start the Juneteenth celebrations in Minneapolis that have grown into big all-day events and even marches.
So many people that I knew had never even heard of Juneteenth, and so I was able to, to tell other people about it and bring other people, to the celebration, so that so they would understand more about it.
In 1865, slaves were declared free in Texas after the Civil War. This was after the Emancipation Proclamation was signed a couple of years prior, giving us Juneteenth. Eventually, Lee Jordan began taking part locally, and now he's the Midwest and state director for the National Juneteenth. He says Juneteenth shouldn't be thought of as African American history, but U.S. history.
Juneteenth is a celebration for those who believe in freedom and believe in the celebration of freedom. Then Juneteenth is for you.
The fact is, Jordan says there's a list of what he calls freedom legislations that happened in our country's history on the 19th of June. This is a list from the National Juneteenth Observance Foundation, which is trying to make Juneteenth a national day of observance. It covers historic moments from 1862 to 1968, proving there's a lot to remember and celebrate on this day, especially with people you love.
When you think about it, the fact that a lot of these slaves at that point in time were separated from families. So once you found out that you were freed, some of the slaves kind of found their families again.
Yeah, that movement to include Juneteenth, a national day of observance. Well, you can find more about that. And if there are any socially distanced Juneteenth events happening locally, all of it is on KARE11.com. And Chris, I was told there's no right or wrong way to celebrate. But yeah, one of the really cool things I thought was fascinating was Barbara having all those old posters from back in the 90s and even 80s. To show me.
Yeah, it's so interesting when you find out the local angle of something. I mean, nationally you know what it stands for, but when you feel the local angle like that, it tends to mean so much more.
Yeah, for sure. Ellery, let's...
On June 19th, 103 years ago, General Granger proclaimed that all slaves in Texas shall be henceforth free. President Abraham Lincoln had first issued his Emancipation Proclamation months before. The Civil War had ended in April, but only here in the Brown Mansion had General Granger made the end of slavery in Texas official. For many years, Negroes celebrated Juneteenth as the day of emancipation. But lately, that observance has been limited, perhaps because no one can really grasp that 103 years ago there was such a thing as slavery. This is Lee Tucker.
Juneteenth became a national holiday in 2021. To honor the holiday, the Juneteenth flag was raised at the Ohio State House today. It is a historic first. The flag is now officially on the list of those allowed to fly at the State House.
Today, we're really standing on the shoulders of those so many, their hopes and their dreams they did not live to see or even could have imagined what would happen today.
Juneteenth, of course, marks the day, June 19th, 1865, when enslaved people in Texas finally learned they were free more than 2 years after the Emancipation Proclamation. For a list of Juneteenth events happening near you, just text the word June to the number on your screen, 614-460-3345. We'll send those events right to you. Celebrating 160 years of freedom at the city where it all began. Galveston is where Union troops posted an order that read, "All slaves are free." KPRC2's Jaewon Jung joining us live from the island this afternoon with the sights and sounds of Juneteenth. Hi, Jaewon.
Hi, Lisa. We are live on Broadway near 19th in Galveston. Of course, as you mentioned, the birthplace city for Juneteenth. You can actually see behind me some Juneteenth flags set up on this median. I want to show you a live look at the block party right now. Just in the last half hour, a couple dozen more people showing up to this event. Now, people here that I spoke to today say they are proud to celebrate the freedom their ancestors fought for 160 years ago. Galveston is the city where it all began.
This is the place where Granger Gordon came in to declare freedom for slaves.
And Reedy Chapel is the church where enslaved people once gathered.
All of the slaves that attended Reedy Chapel were able to go over to the courthouse and hear that they were free.
That's why dozens came right here from near and far to celebrate 160 years of freedom.
I live in California, but my family is from here, Galveston. We walked these streets and paraded 159 years ago today.
Former President Joe Biden is expected to make an appearance Thursday night. Biden signing legislation in 2021, making Juneteenth a federal holiday.
We are elated that he accepted our invitation to come and be a guest of honor here at Reedy Chapel.
Why is it important that Juneteenth is a federal holiday?
Because it shows that the country recognizes there was some time in history that wasn't quite so joyful, but it recognizes that we had some wrongs, but we're making it right.
Now back out here live. In less than 2 hours, people are expected to march from the Galveston County Courthouse to right here in front of the Reedy Chapel. And following that will be some remarks from former President Joe Biden. Of course, we'll keep you updated with the latest coming up later tonight. We're live in Galveston. Jaewon Jung, KPRC2 News.
A day commemorating freedom. And it's a day full of celebrations, of course, right here in Milwaukee.
And our city has one of the longest celebrations in the country, this year marking 54 years. Christina Van Zelst talked with people celebrating who say Milwaukee does it the best.
Hey, happy Juneteenth, Milwaukee! Thousands of people packed the streets on Milwaukee's North Side Thursday, celebrating Juneteenth.
And I remember when Juneteenth used to come down Center Street. So yeah, this is like my 50th one. Let's celebrate these brown skins, y'all.
Milwaukee has one of the longest standing Juneteenth celebrations in the country. Revelers at the parade and street festival on MLK Drive rejoicing for Freedom Day.
We broke free from the chains. Mentally, some of us are still there, but we can come out of it and come together and just celebrate each other.
Juneteenth commemorates the day in 1865 when slaves in Galveston, Texas were finally given the news they're free. This came 2.5 years after the Emancipation Proclamation. In 2021, Juneteenth became a federal holiday thanks to huge efforts by Miss Opal Lee, also known as the grandmother of Juneteenth. From food to vendors and community resources, MLK Drive was packed with people.
It's good to be able to promote positivity within a community.
Several outreach groups also connecting with people there.
A lot of people in the African American community does neglect their mental health. So that's one of the things that we target.
So the city Both Mayor Cavalier Johnson and County Executive David Crowley spoke about the importance of celebrating history and culture of the African American community.
The heart of the city, the people, the culture. Milwaukee is a wonderful place.
Christina Van Zelst, Fox 6 News.
Part 2. That goes into another thing that I want to talk about with several of these story times and these series. When I talk about why I'm so vehement about the DEI, not because I don't want black folks to get nothing. The so-called diversity inclusion programs, with me being a data analyst, with me, y'all got to keep in mind, I saw these policies where they're talking about law and order, DEI, let's kiss DEI's ass, while I see black women in prominent positions get undermined. The issue with speaking out in these public forums and giving the commentary that I have, or correcting these folks when they say something that's completely demystifying and debunking, once you speak out in a corporate or an employment environment, you are now the new DEI Negro. Yes, that's the issue. Once DP speaks out and I say, hey, that ain't historically correct, because if I let them lie, then now the whole room just gets to go, and now they spewing this bullshit out to the kids. I was a data analyst, I told you, at a school, and I noticed the structure and framework of the DEI, which I told you about, even with the sister that was undermined, and the sister from Chicago, and that sister that was the DEI agent that worked at the same company as that sister in Chicago back in 2011. I seen the framework work where this institution was saying, we're trying to uphold white supremacy. We're trying to get rid of it. They changed that executive summary, that executive message real quick. There was some things that was going on. I'm just gonna fucking say it, man. I'm not even gonna pull no punches. I won't say the place. I'm just gonna spill the, I ain't gonna use that word. That's the end of, what's that? Yeah, I'm just gonna spill, what they say, spill the beans. I was gonna say something else. I had to stop myself. Hold on. I was gonna say something else. Hold on, DP. No, don't use that term. I'm just gonna spill the beans. Now, you had an executive summary. We're trying to dismantle white supremacy. The board probably said, no, that's too hard line. You going a little bit too Umar. You going a little bit too Stokely Carmichael. You're going a little bit too woke. You see what I'm saying? That's too woke. That's too woke, right? So what they did is they changed the executive summary. They made it to where it was just more people of color, more, it's that intersectional, everywhere, every which way, nothing concrete language. You know how that shit is. They just everywhere. You know what I'm saying? It's just open and everywhere, just divert everywhere. That's the where they started to lean towards. Maybe the board of directors, somebody said something. All right, so they end up hiring a black woman. The white lady stepped down and they hired a black woman as a director. When that sister, and she was from, I'll say this, man, she was from Louisiana. When they hired her, and I had conversations with this sister. When they hired her, them white ladies lost their damn mind. Whatever happened to DEI? What happened to being inclusive? What happened to being intersectional? Whatever happened to that? Man, look, let me tone it down a little bit. When they hired that sister to run that institution, them white ladies started losing their mind. They were catching attitudes with her. There was times, and like me being a data analyst, I get to see all the numbers. And there was some other black folks that left. We used to have these meetings every so often, and you see the black folks over here, you see the white little liberals over there. They have these little, so I sit in. I sit in with the blacks. It reminds me of the penitentiary. You walk in, where's your chair? I sit with them. And you had a couple white people to sit in with us, but you could tell the group that was there, those were the undermine folks. In the discussion, I come into discussion, man, they don't want us over there. They don't want us over south. They don't want us over south. I guess I gotta go harder, don't I, y'all? They don't want us over there by Kingsfield. DP, you shouldn't be saying this. You might need a job there. Now I'll never go back. They don't want us over there. You had the Mexican principles, and you had a lot of the black folks being undermined. You had these Hispanic principals and these folks and these white teachers that were disrespecting and undermining the black folks, disrespecting the kids, disrespecting the black parents, and they did not want the black teachers over there. Yes, South Minneapolis, Kingsfield. Let me calm down. My blood pressure going up. So you had the sisters. You had the sister that let me open this up. You had the sister that was the head director over the whole thing, and they weren't giving her proper respect. And I had a conversation with her like, man, these folks, she'll say hello, they'll walk right past her. You know what I told her? I hit her with the Neely Fuller. Less contact, less conflict. She said, I just learned that term. I was listening to some broadcasts from Neely Fuller. I told her, I said, ma'am, you got to put some codification on it. Less contact, less conflict. And right when I said that, she said, She said, that hit different. I said, yes, ma'am. And I went and sat in my seat. There was a discussion about how those folks was, and eventually I think she left too, but they did the whole DEI thing. Well, we gonna hire a black woman because something's going on or whatever. And them folks lost their mind. You hear me? They lost their mind. Disrespecting her. She's the boss. Didn't want to listen to her. And see, now, let me tell you something. In this environment, that same principal that got fired, I had to check her one day. She said, I was over there meeting different people in the school. And see, I think it was good for me to take that position. So I really got to see the inside inner structure of Minneapolis schools. How they do black folk. This is primarily Hispanic, and they treating the black folks like we newcomers. Don't let ICE in. And if ICE comes in, these are federal officers. What the hell you talking about? If this was North Minneapolis and some feds came in and there was some GDs and some BDs and some vice lords, they would run in on us and gaffle us quick. Talking about you can't let federal officers in the damn building. Are you crazy? Anyway, yeah, we don't get that. And I don't think ICE ain't gonna arrest no kids. They're not just gonna come into no school and arrest no kids. They might get some illegals, but I don't know. It was mainly just white women running that program. But they, like I say, man. Anyway, so they doing, they had. I just got to tell it. They had primarily Latins in this school, and the black kids was getting undermined. They were dealing with the N-word. One day I walked past the room and they had something that said, who can use the N-word? Now it was some Somali kids in there too, and it was some black American kids. And maybe they felt a little offended, like, okay, you ain't black, you can't use the N-word, right? But somebody was using the N-word, so they were having a discussion about who can use the N-word. Well, we get to determine that because we black. We can say who can and can't use the N-word. And the problem is we start letting folks use the N-word willy-nilly without 5 fingers to the face. We used to do that back in the early 90s and the 80s. The right person don't say the wrong person say the N-word, and yeah, your lips be on the pavement somewhere. We should have got back to that, but we didn't. So now you got white dudes from Texas rapping, talking about he could use the N-word or what he stands on, and his dentures should be out on the pavement. But that's another story. So now they had a list. Oh, everybody should come to the affinity racial meetings. They start having these little racial meetings about just different weird stuff. And so what I'm saying, once you speak out, you by default becomes a diversity inclusion Negro mascot in a sense. There was something that happened that I talked about before. This was a situation where they showed a video of black folks getting their ass mopped and glowed in the street. John Lewis out there whining and crying and all this, or whatever the case may be. They basically just showed niggas just getting pulverized. And then they get skip the civil rights movement and they get showed like a Mexican family with a big ass house. So what they were really saying was, y'all put on all the damn work, didn't get nothing, and you built this for them, and then you see them in a big ass beautiful house. And I seen that video, I said, what the fuck is this? And I said, man, there's context to that. And there was some other black folks that everybody was scared but me. Because see, I had a certain position. You could not undermine me. I was a technology person. So there was really no way you could punish me. And then my manager was leaving to go to a different company. I had to train in a new manager. But it was all ran by intersectional white women. And the big scam is you had all these intersectional feminist talking points and they go home to their white husband. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? They talk that liberal shit and get home to their white husband. You see? You had a lot of that going on. So you got these white women. There was a white woman that wrote a book called Submerged or Subverted or something. And it reminded me of that. I seen it later on. Her whole thing was to crank up a feminist movement, get the black women involved, destabilize them, and go back to their white woman. That was the whole point. And it reminded me of that. I said, I see the play. But going back to the principal, I was meeting different school people. The principal comes up to me, had a real nasty attitude. Now, I didn't know the history of this woman just yet. So she goes, this Latin lady, she walks up to me. I'm meeting the different people. Where are you from? When somebody asks me where am I from, I immediately go into my heritage. Because that's what I'm thinking you asking her. Where's your people from? I thought that's what she was asking. Where are you from? Oh, well, I'm from South Minneapolis. She said, no, I didn't ask you that. Whoa. Uh-oh. She wanted to know where I came from the last job or something like that. So she wanted more details, and as I'm getting ready to expound upon it, and then she cut me off and said, I didn't ask you that. Oh, do tell. Oh, we got a problem here. I asked you something else or whatever. I said, well, hold on. Let's rewind that, ma'am. You asked me a specific question, and I'm going to expound upon that. She tried to cut me off again. I said, we ain't doing that. I checked her quick. Because the tone she was using, she was talking like, nigga, you gonna listen to what I got to say. And I was like, I just met this woman. What is this all about? Come to find out, she was the same principal that got fired because she was being, it was a big thing. And she was making money. I ain't gonna tell you how I know she was making money, but she was making big money. But this was a big thing because they were trying to save the reputation of the organization without this getting out. So they were having all these little DEI affinity meetings and this, that, and the third and all that. So I'm looking at this shit. And then there was issues with them not wanting black kids from coming over north. They had all these excuses. Then they said, well, yeah, that's similar to the Jim Crow North, this whole Jim Crow North thing. This was all around the time close to the Floyd riots and stuff. This was all around that time. So these folks is piggybacking between all this fake stuff. So now the black folks, they didn't want the black kids coming from over north, making excuses on why they can't get buses over there. Now, they ain't had no issues with the illegals, the illegal immigrant parents. They didn't have no issues for that. But they had resources left and right for everybody else. But the black kids, they ain't want them up in there. You know? And there was a sister, I'll say this, there was a sister that was advocating for the black folks. And I was kind of advocating for the black folks too. You know what I'm saying? Like, what's going on? And, but once I seen that what kind of lion's den I was in, I said, damn, man, this is a no-win situation for black folks because they're blatantly undermining, and you have these Hispanic and white teachers that are undermining blacks here. So there's no black person that's going to stay. They just hired another top black director or something like that. And, you know, and whatever. I'm not going to get into that. I'm not going to get into that. But, you know, reputation is the game plan. They'll hire a black person to mind the store to clean up whatever little issues that they got. But like I say, I'm not going to pass aspersions on that brother, but he gonna get your bread, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? But what I was seeing there, when I was there, I got to see it. I had the data and I got to see it. I had maps, I had data, because I was the data analyst. You can't hide anything from me. I get to see who barks white. Black and brown, white. Yeah, I get to see that. I get to see that. You can't hide anything from me. There's nothing that y'all can hide from me. So when they pulled that thing where they showed niggas getting their ass mopped and glowed and the K9s biting their ass, oh, I'm a man. They showing all, they shit niggas just getting pulverized. And then they show a big ass beautiful house with a Hispanic community. I said, damn, where the black folks with the nice house? You get showing us getting rolled out. And so I spoke on that. So now I said something about the video. They changed that video after that or something like that. And so then more people start, because at first they had a few tap dancing Negroes over there. I'm just gonna say it. They started feeling like, well, yeah, Derek's right. And I'm like, nigga, you didn't say nothing. Shut your bedwenching ass up. Like, shut your ass up. You didn't say anything. So now, yeah, you know, yeah. So, you know, I start kind of saying, well, hey man, this don't look good. Like, you know what I'm saying? They got niggas looking, you know what I'm saying? Like we just saved the day, man, and then you don't see us no more. What's going on with that? So I had to put a little context to it, but I did it in a way where I was talking about maybe the history and stuff. You know what I'm saying? So, but I seen them trying to crowbar us out. Now they made it look like, well, we helped them to get to where they were at. Well, then if we did all the sacrificing and we were sacrificial lambs, shouldn't the sacrificial lamb get to receive the most benefit? Shouldn't the sacrificial lamb, you're literally showing who put in all the work. You didn't see no Hispanics out there getting bit by dogs. That's another thing that we need to talk about. When we look at, when people try to crowbar in the Juneteenth and crowbar in the Jim Crow. Oh, Juan Crow. Man, I ain't seen wasn't no Mexicans get bit by no dogs. Wasn't none of them out in Selma. Might have been one or two, but as a mass, wasn't nobody riding with us. We did all the work. Foundational blacks and white folk. Let's just be honest. It was a bunch of white folks down in Selma, as my pop said. It was white folks and it was foundational blacks doing all the work. All of it. Yes, we did all the work. So now they start saying, well, you know, and so now I become the token diversity and inclusion Negro by default because I spoke out. And I said I should have shut my damn mouth. But I'm like, well, damn, I can't not advocate for black folks, not tell the truth. But then now every time it comes up, hey, Derek, what do you think about this? Oh, Lord. But now I'm the Negro encyclopedia because I got all the black American knowledge. I'm the one with all the history. I'm talking about dates, times. I got all the stuff that puts stuff in the right perspective. So you can't come to nobody else. You can't come to a tap dancing nigga at the job. And you can't fire me because I have all the power. You know, if I leave, y'all system goes down. Y'all are fucked. You see what I'm saying? So you can't really undermine me. I seen one of my first or second days I came on, some lady just walks up to me and got all demanding about something. I'm like, ma'am, I'm just starting to get, you know, and I'm like, I don't know. She just walks up to me and just kind of gets real demanding about some of the tech. I'm just getting my credentials. And so I was a little irritated that day because I didn't really get all the proper sleep. But the way she came, I was kind of like, look, this stuff you asking me for, you ain't gonna get it. I'm still getting my credentials and all that. And she was coming to me like, man, I better kind of like, I better get out. So, you know, so now I'm learning more and more about this environment. And when I go to these different environments, I'm noticing I'm hearing the same story about how the black folks are treated. I seen a teacher one time talking crazy to a black. Then I noticed a lot of the black students were getting written up more. They were getting written up more. It wasn't that many black students there. They were getting written up more than the Hispanic students, left and right. But we're supposed to jump out here for ICE. What benefit does it? We've been doing this, y'all, for about 100 years now, man. We've been doing this for 50, 70, 50 plus years, man. Just jumping out for folks, and we don't get people in mass jumping out for us. We just don't. My homie told me, man, when he was in the county, this some inside stuff, because like I say, this a tech channel, but man, we black, man. Fuck all this professional shit. When he was in the county during the riots, he saw a bunch of, he said it was brown-haired, brown-eyed white folk in the county. That's who was down there riding. Wasn't a bunch of Hispanics. So we got to put some things in context. Who was really out there for us? Now, you might have had a lot of them that was just rioting just for the sake of it. And you had a lot of race soldiers coming from out of town trying to catch them some victims. But who really rides for us, man? For real, for real. Who really allies with us for real, for real? That doesn't have no little intersectional agendas and ain't really trying to get no kibbles and bits. Because when we ride for other people, we don't have no alternative agendas. Usually, now you might have a couple Negroes trying to get them some Latin sexual interracial access. But when we get out there for real. You had a rolling 60s dude that was out there in California that was getting on some Hispanic cops because they were harassing some little Hispanic kids. It was some Hispanic teenagers minding their own business. And LAPD rolled up. LAPD rolled up on the kids messing with them. And it was a brother from 60s. They talk about, yeah, they say, well, you know, gang members and this, that, and the third. It wasn't the clergy, and it was not no step infection nigga with a high title that was out there in the riots, in the 92 riots. It wasn't nobody with a suit and tie that was going to put work in Tulsa. The former slaves built Tulsa. It wasn't nobody, it wasn't no preacher. 9 times out of 10, the preachers was sitting in the church talking about, well, we need to pray. It was a different kind of warrior spirit that was out there trying to protect Tulsa when it was burning down. The preacher nigga was sitting in the house talking about y'all need to pull your pants up, waiting for them a liberal check from some nonprofit. It was the 8-tray gangsters, and it was the folks, it was black folks from the set that was putting in work trying to liberate LA from these LAPD race soldiers. And that Korean lady that assassinated that sister that had money to pay for that pop, and they gave her probation. It was not the boule buck dance scary nigga class. It wasn't people that speak like me. It wasn't the, man, we need to be nonviolent. It wasn't those niggas. It was the gangsters and the street niggas. The people that, you know, get hated the most. I'm not saying that, you know, there was definitely detriment to gangs and stuff and gangbang. Of course there is. Any street civil war will have it. But those were the people that were out there that were getting on the race soldiers' ass. It was not the nigga in the suit and the tie. So, you know, the suit and the tie Negro, the so-called Negro with the titles and the big job and the money and the Cadillac and the big Cadillac in the suburbs, that wasn't the person that was speaking on those issues when I was in those situations, speaking up for black folk. And from what I understand, it was a few black Americans up in there, and it was like Somali kids. I seen that. But you know, a lot of the Somali kids here in Minneapolis, they adopt black American traits. Unfortunately, some of them adopt. Some of them may not adopt so much as the Dr. Kings and Ida B. Wells and the, you know what I'm saying? Some of them may want to get one, you know, some of them. the ones they call the problem childs, they want to slide for King Von. So a lot of them adopt that culture, which is a small piece of Black American culture. That's the underbelly of Black American culture. Yet and still, you know, they might have felt a certain way about the N-word. Well, shit, when you calling someone the N-word, you talking about me. You see what I'm saying? So I'm fighting for them. Different tribe, but I'm fighting for them. That was my ideology at that time. I said, okay, who gets to use the N-word? Niggas get to use the N-word, not y'all. You don't get to use it. I'm saying you don't get to use it and say what you could do because you heard a rap song. You don't get to do that. We get to say no. We get to say no. Well, we get to use the N-word because we feel like it. You can't stop us from using the N-word. Then stop ICE. You didn't think I was going to say that? Yeah. You stop them on your own. You want to use the N-word so bad, stop ICE on your own. How about that? Oh, that burns. Burn your soul like ether, Nas said. Burn your soul like ether. Godson across the belly. I think you lost already. Yeah. You want to use the N-word? You want to tell Black folks what you can and can't do? This, that, and the third. We'll use it. Y'all can't do nothing about it. Stop ICE on your own. Stop that. You had an open. I couldn't believe what I was seeing, man. I'm looking at the maps. I'm looking at where the Black folks live. Everything was based on tableau and visualization. So I seen where the fight, and like I say, there was some Black folks that was advocating. There was, and I'm not gonna say who, but I felt like there was some. How I can say this? There were some people that was doing some good work that I kind of gelled with. Some freedmen, I'll say that were advocating for the Black folk. And we weren't trying to undermine other races. The idea of the school, they say, was to undermine white supremacy. They dropped that real quick because maybe the donors and the board of directors, whatever the case may be. But then they showed, it was starting to get weird, man. We seen a video. It was a school with mental health and the kids was getting abused. It was weird. I said, what are they doing? What the hell is this? We sitting up there looking at each other like, what the hell is this? It was showing some kind of place in New York where the kids were getting abused, and it was on the conference table. I said, what? It was a big gymnasium where I said, man. It was just all kind of crazy. Y'all, look, man, this is just the half of it. It's like, what does that got to do with teaching the kids? It was disturbing. And I'm going to these different places. And I'm gonna say this, man. There's a brother that got a YouTube channel, and I never thought about it like this. I was talking about 38th for Chicago. Why did 38th for Chicago ain't get its support? And there's a brother that got a channel called Runaway Slave. One of my relatives from Georgia sent me. And I think he was an ex-CIA or ex-Secret Service dude that, you know, he said he was ex-Secret Service. He got a channel, and the brother be he be going hard like us. And he did a video talking about why 38th for Chicago ain't get the money, the Black businesses on 38th Chicago. Why is 38th the way it is? And I thought about that neighborhood that I went into where they were having issues with the Black kids. Kingsfield neighborhood. That's one of them. And a chill went up my spine when he played the audio on Instagram when I think it was Smoke in the Pit, or this brother was talking about, he was talking to George Floyd's aunt that gave away like $500,000, and the white liberals end up getting some money or something like that. And the reason why that money got allocated was some nigga that represented the Kingsfield neighborhood that's hooked up with the LGBT. And that money somehow got diverted. And I seen a video where they were blocking this nigga in somewhere. And I'm like, man, why they blocking this dude in? And it all comes together. Folks find out when you playing with that other side. So I thought about the Kingsfield neighborhood, and I thought about that ward that dude represents. And I said, damn, man. Kingsfield neighborhood ain't cheap. Ain't a whole lot of blacks over there like that. And I said, how did he get that position? But I thought about how he tied that together in the Runaway Slave YouTube channel. I seen the Instagram. I was talking about it, but I didn't have no proof. I was saying, I made the comment earlier. Why is 38th in Chicago don't look like Tulsa, Oklahoma? Somebody done got some money. It ought to look beautiful. Open up the whole damn street. Put one museum. If we want a trauma bond, put one museum on one side of the street and put the art over there, and let's open up a Freedmen's Bank. Black-owned business, soul food spot right here. Well, we don't want the police. Then get some black police over there that's foundational. I'm gonna say it. Fuck it. If you didn't round up none of the Bloods on 38th, the dudes that you ain't round up in the RICO that you said ain't committed no homicides, damn it, hire one of the former Pyrus. We were talking about community justice. They understand the neighborhood. Yes, I fucking said it. Hire one of the former Bloods to rechange his life as a damn cop in the area and let him mandate the area. I bet he'll get the area straight. They talking about you don't want no police over there. $500 million, y'all. $500 million didn't go to the businesses. DP, you saying too much. I ain't said enough. I couldn't believe that shit. I'm sitting here looking at the smoke in the pit nigga. He's up there talking about, man, hey, look, did you know that money didn't go towards us? She's like, oh, I didn't know. She's like, I didn't know. I'm like, damn. I thought I was speaking stuff into fruition. I thought I was just using my tinfoil. I thought my tinfoil was on like, yeah, man, somebody that got some money. I didn't have no proof. I knew somebody that got some money. It didn't get allocated right. I know 38th ain't supposed to look like that. All those bastards and they got money. Folks done got money. I kept saying that. The conspiracy kufi, the tinfoil hat. What did Titan say? DP, you in a tinfoil car with a tinfoil garage and a tinfoil house. And the tinfoil just got shattered. I was right. Man, they done gave. Man, they done gave them folks that money didn't go nowhere in that neighborhood, bro. And I thought about the Kingsfield neighborhood, which I visited, how blacks were undermined. And I kind of said, whoa, Kingsfield right by 38th. It's another maybe 3 miles up, maybe, if that. Actually, Kingsfield is like 8 blocks. And I thought about that dude. And there's nobody really speaking out. It's some prominent so-called activists that were on the high, that were, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, hey, damn. Gosh, man. I'm kind of rambling a bit, but man, am I speaking truth to power, y'all? Like, that, it's crazy. Like, these environments that are so-called liberal, so-called supposed to be George Floyd. After George Floyd, what happens? Why does the neighborhood still look like this? Now, some people may say, you know, like, and well, somebody may say, well, DP, you weren't out there during the riots. Hell no. I'm not going to be on the AI. Y'all not going to get me on a federal indictment because some of you niggas want clout. I'm not talking to the people that, you know what I'm saying? I'm talking about the folks that, I'm going to 38 spend some money. I'm going to 38 spend some money. When I go to 38th, I'm not going to 38th unless I'm going to smoke in the pit. If I go to 38, I don't want to trauma bond. I don't want to talk about the lynching too much. I want to spend some money. That's all I want to do when I go to 38th. Let me get a turkey sub and let me get some smoked chicken. And I ain't shopping at Cup. Because y'all made the call. Y'all killed the man. Yeah, I said it. You would have done right by black folks. You would have donated it to, what's they call that? What they say? 38th and Smoke in the Pit. You should have donated that to Smoke in the Pit. Whole damn building. Oh, we feel bad about Floyd. Give it up. Give up the damn building. Sign that title over. We feel so bad. Oh, we're in solidarity with you Negroes. Then give up the damn building. I don't want your hugs and your apologies. I don't. Well, we so sorry and it was bad to happen. Damn that. The man's in the grave now. Give up that building. Let's stop this from happening again. Let's build Tulsa on 38th, right? Don't want no apologies. Don't want no hugs. Don't want no truth and reconciliation. Don't want to pray with you motherfuckers. Don't want to. No. Give up that building. Cut the check. That's how you resolve the issue. That's how you resolve the issue. You resolve the issue by depositing something in their bank accounts. Then we know that you're serious, your apology was sincere. We know that. Well, we apologize for doing this to you people and stuff, but you're undermining these black kids right in the school. You making excuses why they can't come. You can't get a damn bus. How much is a bus? You can't get a bus over north to pick up these black kids because you don't want them there. You know that if you start having some black kids over there, it's going to undermine your true cause. You don't want the black kids over there because you know this big, beautiful, shining building, the building look good. Them kids get like real school, it's like a private school almost. They get like real food, and I mean, it's a nice building. It would be different than what they're exposed to. Some of them old ass buildings in schools over north or whatever the case may be. Now they coming to a school to look top notch. I see the plays. I see the Black Lives Matter nigga that you brought up. The one that got slapped at Ferguson. Yeah. Yeah, I met him too. Y'all like the DP saying way too much. Yeah, I met that nigga too. Scary as hell. Hey, what's up, bro? Scary as hell. I met the nigga. I met the Black Lives Matter nigga from Ferguson that got slapped in Ferguson. Sent them up out of here. Sent them up out of Ferguson when he tried that in Ferguson. I met him. Hey, what's up, bro? How you doing? Hey. Yeah, that's who they put in those positions. That's who they give the money to. That's who they put and give the book deals and all that kind of stuff. I'm like, man, it's crazy, man. Tinfoil. Am I got the tinfoil on, Mike? Tinfoil.
Let me tell you something. When they gave away the $50,000 that your family was handing out to the businesses to help them, you know how many people were up there that wasn't even from this area? There was 72 people up there trying to take that money from all the businesses. We didn't get a dime. None of us got a damn dime of that money to help us. Did you know that? Oh my God. Y'all didn't even know that. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to tell you.
They wouldn't know that. They wouldn't know that.
We know that because I was there when it happened. That's what I'm trying to tell you. I was in the room when they all showed up, all these white folks that we'd never even seen over here, asking for the money that your family was putting down for these businesses. They took that money from us. We never got a dime. We never got help.
I have a lot of sympathy, but people are forgetting that COVID also hurt the businesses. Not just
COVID didn't hurt my business.
We gotta talk off record.
Yeah.
We gotta talk off record.
All right.